Moments said the busy builder is now live, streaming miniatures.
Hello. I think this paint might be a little too thin. Yeah. Let's see for pre-shading, see what it does. Yeah. And it's being oddly inconsistent. One moment. Yeah, I don't like it. Something's not right about it. Yes, the airbrush is clean this time. It could just be too old. That's better. Yep. Periodically cleaning the needle to keep the line straight and neat. As paint begins to dry along the needle, it causes the line to become wider and less distinct. And for pre-shading, you want to keep it relatively consistent. Yes, it is, Uther. And the paint mask for the canopies. No aftermarket has been used. This is all in the box. Like I said in the last stream, 40 bucks on Amazon, I couldn't resist. The only area that I would say caused any trouble is the main rotor assembly, because they got some part numbers backwards. The push rods for adjusting the angle of the rotors, they got them backwards. They're shorter on the ones that fold and longer on the ones that don't fold. Other than that, they only fit one way. So just pre-check your fit and install those push rods last. Don't follow the instructions and install them first. Install them last. Trying to be very careful with this. I found it on eBay, or not eBay, Amazon for 40 bucks. Right now I don't think you can find it any cheaper. And I got it in 2 days. It was one that I was looking for when I went to my hobby shop the other weekend when we went to the Titanic thing. They didn't have it. And then I saw a model student's review of the kit and I'm like, fuck it, I gotta get it. So Amazon I went. But from what I can tell from pictures, it's got every last little bump and antenna and spiky bit and all that on it. Yee. So detailing wise, it's pretty good. This is a Viper, newer, more upgraded version of the Cobra. Hey, model student, how you doing? Yeah, you just missed when I pointed out the one biggest flaw in the kit. When you go to assemble the rotor, do not follow the instructions for putting these onto these pieces early. These push rods right here, they got them backwards. Wait till the rotor is assembled before you put the push rods on. There's two slightly different lengths. Test fit them first and you'll see what I mean. Wait till last to put the push rods on. When I was building it, I'm sitting there going, oh, I know that'll cause you some trouble. Yes, it is. And worth every penny. Photo etch, paint mask, decal options. The cockpit could be a little more fully detailed, but for what it is, it's not terrible at all. There's even, if you hunt around, they painted a few of these in the old school 3-color black, gray, green camo. They did another few up as a nod to the Vietnam era AH1Zs. There's some different markings out there for them, so you can dress them up how you like. It's not just gray with shark teeth. And I got my sensor ball down here. I installed the lenses I was going to make behind, or not the lenses, but the camera apertures. But I installed the camera apertures behind the ball, and they look just about how I wanted. Then I painted inside with Tamiya clear colors. I know they're all usually the same color, especially if you view them in person on the ground. But just seeing them in pictures while they're flying, with some showing up as green and blue and like a yellow-orange, I couldn't resist that. It just adds that pop to the front. But the only putty I really had to use was right here. Everything else is just a little bit of Mr. Surfacer to level out the difference between the fuselage joins. See, I looked at those, and if you ordered the ones I think you ordered, it actually comes with a little camera assembly for inside the dome. But They seemed very pixelated. They seemed very grainy on the details. So they will dress up the cockpit nicely, but I didn't see that they were a necessary expense, at least not for me. Don't worry about mistakes. We always learn from them. Was it just editing mistakes or just weird stuff? If it's the Quinta Studios one, it comes with an insert for inside the clear dome for the cameras. I scratch built mine in about 30 minutes. What's funny is the same studio does Humvee interior decals. But kind of like with the Edwards stuff, it's not bad, but the color intensity feels a bit too strong on some of the stuff. Well, you sent me a link to one that I looked at, and it looked like it had a 3D printed section for inside the dome. Yeah, I'm using Vallejo Black Gray to do my pre-shading. My Tamiya was out of commission. I didn't like how it was spraying. Also, when you glue these two together, leave the seam. There's actually a very prominent seam around the ball where that natural seam line goes. So don't fill it, don't sand it, don't polish it. What's the light gray? The light gray is the plastic. I haven't even started painting the fuselage colors. This is all just pre-shading. I usually don't bother with it. So yeah, almost all of the details in this, it's alright. I'm experimenting with something new. I haven't had too much of a gap to use it on yet. But I've been using this. Comes with its own little UV light, and so far it's worked a treat on some things. It's almost the right color for somebody who's just building it, like a kid. They get it from the hobby shop and just want to go home and slap it. And it really is a very simple kit. Very good chunky fit. Some resins can. I've run into some that are hard as rocks. But as I was saying, most of the part panels fall along natural panel lines on the airframe anyway. So you don't have to worry too much about a lot of filling and sanding. And if you look at pictures of the real thing, those panels don't really ever close up that perfect anyway. So a little bit of oddness is acceptable. And contrary to popular opinion that, you know, others have stated, I'm not using the Iron Cross decals on this. I couldn't even upload a picture of a short of a Panzer IV without it getting labeled for hate speech because of the markings on it. I don't know how other people get away with it, but I can't for some reason, so there's that. One of the Marine Corps units uses them. They had an F-18 unit out at Kaneohe that had them as well. But that was back in the 90s. And I'm also not using the Hellfires on it. I just felt they were too soft, too... Honestly, for the rest of the kit, they felt kind of primitive. So we're going with 4 missile pods and sidewinders. But Academy is definitely upping their game. Like I said, it even came with the blue canopy masks. But there's decal options for, I think, 4 different airframes. And depending on how this goes, we might start with the summer version of the old modular camo on the Humvee. On the Stinger one. I got my colors picked out for it. And you notice with the pre-shading, I'm only following major panel overlaps and gaps. I'm not following every single rivet. Because when you go to do your wash, the rivets will pick up enough of the wash. What this is for panels only. Natural panels, seams, and joins. And vents, obviously. Yeah. I'm not doing anything too crazy with it. We're keeping her stock. Where was I? Like I said, aside from the addition of the lenses in the nose pod, we're keeping it basically out of the box.
At pre-model student 20 said eyes emoji, you're not dotting every rivet. Shame. Rolling on the floor laughing emoji, rolling on the floor laughing emoji, rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
There's no point to it. Even on the F-16, a lot of the surface rivets for like where certain panels would have frames riveted to them and the rivets would be filled and painted, that eventually cracks and grease will finally start to come around them. But what we're simulating is that grease around the major panels and the actual separation seams. And also be careful when assembling the tail rotor. This is one wiggly, fiddly pain. Once you get everything lined up, it locks in. Just get it glued, let it dry. And also a lot of the pictures I've seen of this airframe, yeah, they get the usual grease and grime from flying, but they are very well maintained. I haven't seen any of these where half the fuselage is covered in grease stain like an Apache. Was it somebody asking about your paintwork or something? I don't know. I watch the videos, but it's kind of like how you use mine a lot of times. It's just gray noise, you know? Like when I was building this, I had your stuff on in the background just kind of as banter. That piece was a right pain too. For this, I didn't use super glue to apply the photo etch. I used, I'll show you. I use this stuff. It still dries well. It'll grab the photo etch just right because it's got a texture to it. But this mesh has to sit almost flush with the top, with the fuselage. So I used that canopy glue for that piece there so it didn't fall in, and it allowed me to pull it out if it did, which it did a few times. But it allowed me time to reposition, and if it started to dry up too early, I was able to peel it off and reinstall the glue, reapply it. Whereas super glue in that situation, I'd have been screwed. Most occasions I use super glue for photo etch, but something told me not to, and I didn't. It just gives you a bit more work time. But off stream, I also finished off the Stinger Humvee. The only other mod I made is I put shoes on the bottom of the Stinger, so it sits right in the back, and the ring clears the sides. So. Yeah, if they're structural, super glue them, but if they're just decorative, like stick-on, just use the tack glue. Now the tail will be black, so I don't know why I'm bothering to appreciate it. But it's going to be straight black. These are all for slime lights. They don't usually get bothered with too much. Yep. Hurry! Down, so I won't be moving the ball very much. I'm just making sure I've got all the clear painted on it so I don't get light bleeding in. Because as you saw, I just moved it down. It probably scratched the paint right off. It's very, very tight. Yep, right there. So yeah, ball is going to basically stay where it is. But that's okay. I don't make it a habit of playing with my models like a G.I. Joe playset anyway. So this is going to be interesting. There's a decal that wraps around.
To at least once with the Viper.
I already did that before I painted it. I played with it enough. So there's a decal that wraps around so the teeth line up with the teeth on the outside, and then there's a piece that goes there. This is going to be an interesting one to paint up. The drum will actually get painted white. And I'm painting the frame on this black first. So as I paint it, when I peel the masking off, the black frame will be visible on the inside. If my hands feel steady enough, when I get to that point, I can just run a thin bead of matte varnish along the inside. So that way it looks like a flat black frame inside as well. Yeah, I didn't feel like the Tamiya was cooperating, so I opted to not use it. Goes there. See that little spatter? That's the buildup on the needle tip. It's always wise to... That's why it's always wise to start off the model. That way that spatter doesn't land on it like I just did. But I don't care. I'm speed building this. I'm just blasting it. Having fun. Okay, looks like we're getting build-up. Oh, hello, plastic alchemist. Okay. That'll be getting hand painted, mostly metallic, but if I can get away with dry brushing a little something, might do that too. So on these, the undersides get painted black, upper sides get painted light gray. But I'll be off tomorrow as well, so there should be a stream then. At least I hope there is. Just gotta return the rental from the accident in the morning. But I should be on the usual time. I'll be trying to do a stream Turkey Day as well. But I'll have to take minutes to go baste the turkey periodically. Let's get this cleaned out and load up the dark gray. Or not dark gray, light ghost gray. The dark ghost gray goes on next. I didn't put too much in here, but I don't like to waste it too much either. Actually, it looks like I was almost out. Okay. I had just enough. Swizzle the brush around, get all the dried residue off. So you always get that ring that winds up breaking loose on the next color and clogging the airbrush. I just hope I have enough of this color to do this. We'll find out, I guess. If not, I can order some and we just work on something else until it gets here. I'm not too worried about the mask not being fully fit on the cockpit because it's just keeping the bulk of it covered. I can always touch up around the edge once I remove it. If you haven't figured it out by now, I'm kind of a lazy modeler. Oh, and you asked about primers before? Vallejo markets their light ghost gray as a primer. So I need to basically draw a line that I don't go above, because the rest of this up here is going to be a different color. And that line is even with the top of that. Because it is, it's engineered to do it. I'm not using a primer because I'm using primer. But most model paints are engineered to stick to the plastic if it's clean. All these YouTube videos you see of somebody, you know, slathering primer all over just to, you know, paint white over it, you're actually wasting paint doing that. Especially if you're just totally blacking out the model. You have to use twice as much paint to get coverage then. All I can really say is this is how I've always done it, this is how I'm going to continue to do it. I don't use lacquers. Or I try not to anyway. The only time I use primer is if something feels really suspect on the model. Like I'm just noticing a tendency for nothing to stick, and it's usually because the plastic is some cheap knockoff plastic. It's not like proper polystyrene for models. Like on some of the earlier Wave 5-star Stories kits, they used really nasty recycled plastic. Airfix plastic is also terrible at that because it's that weird, really soft, buttery stuff. Oh yeah, used to play Tau. I'm actually printing a Tau NAR right now just because Game Workshop wants to be some cunty little bastards. And they're going after other creators for having stuff that looks similar. Yes, it is. But that's what I always say. If you really need to buy your Games Workshop crack, buy it from the mom and pop shop. because by that point it's already been paid for. If you want to make a dent in Games Workshop's profits, don't buy from Games Workshop sites. By the time the mom and pop shop has it, it's already paid for, because mom and pop had to pay for it. You're just paying back mom and pop for ordering it. But you see how I'm leaving a lot of that staining showing through? That's the result you want with a lot of your pre-shading. Well, that, and now, like I said, they're going after 3D file creators just because they create proxies for people to use in, you know, non-official Games Workshop games. I don't know, I'm tired of fucking all of it. Used to be cool, not anymore. That might be one of my next RC tanks. I can't decide whether Centurion or Churchill. And if I do get a Centurion, it'll either be an IDF version, I'll have to make it into that, or it'll be an ARV. No, I'm not a fan of that particular design. And I prefer the Mark V design over the Mark III anyway. You can do more with the Mark V as far as models are concerned. The Mark III was in service for a very short period of time. Well, you could always do the nuclear Centurion. The one that got recovered and sent to Vietnam and all these other places and still had a full service life after getting nuked. I believe it's still on display in a museum in Australia too.
Online surveys said you might like the church over.
Well, it depends on Tongday and what they've got. We might have enough to finish this, so that stays that for now. Because that gets painted dark ghost gray. These get painted light ghost gray up to a point.
Online surveys said are the black paint possibly if they make it.
Is that weird Russian-based tank that everyone was talking about a while back? Turned out it was a total hoax.
Online surveys said it's a remade Churchill.
Oh.
Online surveys said modified parts take the 17 feet out from the fire. Online surveys said a new term.
Gotcha. So all that, and it was still slower than, you know, soldiers walking.
Online surveys said ride at a top speed of 58 miles per hour.
But that's also what it was made to do. Stay with the troops. Looks like I got more than enough of this gray at least, so I'll be able to do the rotor blade tops no problem. I was just worried I was going to run out totally before I finish painting this. But we're good. We're golden. we are out of paint in the cup. But that's alright, alright, alright. But yeah, the reason I don't really use primer is, one, there's no real point to it for me, and two, most of the paints you buy, as far as acrylics, are formulated as a primer paint. Unless it's something like Mission Models, where they're just shit. Even primer doesn't help with Mission Models. Get my AIM-9s painted. Fortunately, the nose cones are a dark olive color. It's the Influence Fuse Target Detector back that's the same light ghost gray. These AIM-9s are okay. I see some oddities with them. I'm not going to bother correcting them. Best AIM-9s on the market in a plastic kit are still in the AMK models F14D. Hands down the best injection molded plastic AIM-9s ever. Let's get this top rotor done. What's really sad is I have books that I can't even show people. But they're good reference. Vallejo Light Ghost Gray. Oh, it's the right color. I'm just worried their dark gray, their dark ghost gray might actually be a little too light. Gotta get the back side of the tail rotor. Get that out of the way too. That's going to get painted white. Get these out of the way so they can dry. Ah. Wow, that really didn't get anything out of there, did it? That broken up a little bit. Where are all my kitties at today? They're off playing. It's been cold out. We woke up with frost on the grass and all over the windshields and stuff. So it's a cold one now. Still no snow in the forecast, at least not until, I want to say, Monday, Tuesday next week. Nothing but rain so far. There we go. So next we're going to be doing the top side dark ghost gray color. So top of the tail, there is a scheme that has it up here. Top of the tail, top of the engines, top of the fuselage. Well, I woke up and it was sunny out. That was about 8:30. And then by 9:30 it looked like Silent Hill outside. But for those of you hanging out and watching, I do appreciate it. I know on YouTube there's not much we can do, unless you want me to put a donation link in the channel description bar, which I could do. But if you're on Twitch and you want to support the channel otherwise, there are donations and there's always subs. If you got Amazon Prime, you get a free sub a month. And if you decide to use it on me, I greatly appreciate it, but you don't have to. That allows us to continue to have interesting subjects like this on the channel. Now we're good and cleaned out. So once we're done... Shit. Okay, I can go back and paint it after. No worries, you don't have to force it. I just remembered I forgot to paint the landing legs on this. But that's actually a happy accident. Because in order to do the top, I need to hold it by the landing legs. So I can do all along here. Then I can paint these again afterward. So, no biggie. And we got the Vallejo Model Air Dark Ghost Gray. It looks a little warm, but I painted it by brush next to the light Ghost Gray, and it came out looking okay. Yeah, for some reason, through the plastic of the bottle, it looks warm. But when you actually put it on, it's the right cool tone.
At the Model Student 20 said fortuitous.
There we go. And we almost had a model student situation here with the paint going blook. It was plugged. Well, that's what happened when your bottle decided to self-vacate. That little nipple was plugged. And then you squeezed hard enough that it wasn't plugged anymore. Are you talking the new smaller flying wing or something else? Or are you more concerned that I said that there is something else? For now. It'll either be black or gunship gray in the not too distant future. Yep. It actually got announced last year. So you gotta remember, if we're putting that out for the public to see, what else do we have already?
At Model Student 20 said yeah, they're brand new, they look cool all white.
Well, so let's use the F-117 for example. When do you think its first use in combat was? Don't use Google, don't cheat. No, but seriously, when do you think the F-117 was first used in combat? Most people think the Gulf War, 92. What if I told you that's wrong? No, that's when it first flew. That's why you had the big surge of triangular UFO sightings across the desert southwest. 1989 in Panama, Operation Just Cause. What is going on here? This paint's being very inconsistent on me. That's what I get for letting it sit around and not using it too much. To be fair, even I can't account for what those might be. That could be something legit. Or it's some kind of new drone system. And these days, if you're going to test something and keep it secret, where are you going to test it? In the middle of the Mojave Desert, where every influencer is out there doing urbex on old farms and old mining stations? Or in the middle of the ocean, where the only thing that might see it is a Navy F-18? Yeah, it just feels like the difference between the dark and light ghost gray, in this brand at least, isn't enough. mean, it's there. Maybe it'll pop once it's fully dry. Because I noticed the other one had to fully dry before it really showed up on my test. I'm just going with the colors it's supposed to be. It's the brand, not the actual connotations. I have an idea. I want to get this on, let it dry. Where the hell did you come from, and how long have you been there? When did she jump up? I'll let it dry though. I'll be sure to make sure that I apply it at its full opacity. It is a darker, bluer hue. I just think with the pre-shading, it's kind of fucking things up on that. Like, you can see the demarcation line right through there. And the wash will really help too. Still got to do the top of the tail. It's a very simple kit. It doesn't waste time with a lot of tiny details. The molding on it is really damn sharp. I mean, this kit really is meant to be built, not have somebody fuck around and fiddle faff over it. Aries isn't here. I wanted to ask him because I think I remember having this exact same problem on Fenrir's F-15C that I did, but after I did the wash and the touch-ups, after the clear coat and the flat coat and some rebalancing, the colors started to pop. So I'm probably going to do whatever. I remember what I did on that because the wash kind of darkened it a bit too much, so I went back and I misted the base colors again, which looked lighter compared to the base colors that were on the model. So it gave it kind of a faded effect without actually being faded. So, yeah, I can see them now. Okay. So let me clean this out. Well, make sure I got everything right first. Yeah, you can see it now. But on the 15 I did, the wash got it a bit too dirty. So I cleaned it up a hair with going back with the base colors again over that. So let me clean this out. We'll paint the landing skids. We'll paint this white. So this has to be painted white because there's a black and white decal that goes on it for the shark teeth, and only half the teeth are printed on it. It's weird, but it works. So I want to get the Viper in clear at least, and then we can work on the Stinger Humvee because the clear will have to dry. Once it's dry, though, we'll do decals. I'll probably do those off stream, to be honest, because decals are something that's just not fun to watch. And you can only do so many at a time, so it's like, here's 2, okay, gotta let that sit. Here's the 2 on the other side, okay, gotta let that sit. There you go. She said it right. She's not Canadian today. Let's see here. Weird that didn't go into YouTube chat. Or did it? I can't tell. Yeah, the actual process of doing decals, that's a multi-hour task of a lot of swearing and silence and the rest. Not fun to watch. So I know the instructions won't call it out. When you go to do the AIM 9 rails, paint this face in here dark gray, because we used a solid film lube that was basically sprayed on, and it always dried to dark gray. So let's get what I forgot. It should be for anyone using American systems, because they would want to use the same stuff that we've developed. I don't know about what the Russians would use. And I don't know what the Australians or Canadians or anybody else would use, because they have their own methods and techniques, but it's just a general rule of thumb. But I'm only going off of my experience doing 30 days. Darn it, get off there, thank you. And your missile rails can be dirty as fuck, because when we're spraying it on there, we're not masking it off with tape and paper, we're just spraying it. So we'll get overspray on the top and the bottom, because we're trying to get up in the underside because of the way the missile rail locks into the missile. So, yeah, they're dirty as hell. I'm probably going to go wash my hands before we spray the white paint. Actually, no, I'm just going to shoot it white, call it good. There it is. And then I'll go wash my hands. Because I'll be painting the rocket pods the same olive green I'm painting the Humvee. So, get you out of here to keep overspray from hitting you. There we go. Again, not worried about the seam on the back. You're never going to turn it far enough to see it. And this just pops right into place. It's like it snaps right in. The gun mechanism, just going to hand paint gunmetal. Get the shield all white. There. Anything else? Not that I can think of. Okay. Or should I just wait until I'm done painting to go wash my hands? I think I needed... Yeah, I'm overdue for a stand-up break anyway. So yeah, let's take a break. Then we'll come back and start painting some green stuff. Get a new paper towel while we're at it. Ow. But that's where we are on that bugger. And I'm just going to keep it fictional. I'm going to give it the summer modular camo. So it'll be the two greens with the sand and black crow's feet. I'm still trying to decide if I want to do the Bushmaster with the 4-hole bumper and the overall olive drab, or if I want to do it the really sloppy NATO 3 color that they had it in. Because I want to keep that one kind of factual. Because while it is a prototype, I'm trying to do my display of vehicles like how they actually were. This one's just fun because it's fictional anyway. So let's get the canopy pieces out of here. Well, the box art. Yeah, I can't even tell what they're trying to do there. So, and you'd never mount a jerry can on its side like that. You wouldn't want it leaking. So I'm just gonna keep it realistic, but at the same time, have fun with it. Yeah, I gotta go wash my hands. So I'm gonna put the pause screen on and go take care of that, and I'll be back in a minute.
Model student 20 said thumbs up emoji, thumbs up emoji.
Alright, I am back. So get this out of there. The chassis is good for now. There's going to be a lot of hand painting there and in the engine bay. So we've got the hood, body, stinger, and the rocket pods for the Cobra. Or Viper, as it's called. And I need a drink. That's gonna be fun. No, we're good. Hi, Allie. So, for the rocket pods, I just used some blue tack, stuck them to a block of styrene. The ends are going to get painted a dark aluminum color, so I don't have to worry about those particularly being, you know, clean or anything like that. And if I did this right, I've got them staggered so I can paint them more easily. As I rotate it. I like how Academy slide molded these rocket tubes, though. No seams to clean up, nothing. Just a light sanding where the nub marks were, and done. Don't see anything that looks like a missed spot. We're going to use the same forest green on this, because it is one of the base colors of this camouflage. Most people are used to seeing what I think you could say became the standard color scheme for this camo, which is the green with the brown. Which they call that the winter version, but it's actually just the one they put on it and left on it because it's probably the most effective. So we've got the top of the hood. Since this is fictional, I really don't know what the hell to do with it. We'll just paint it and see where things go. Make the Stinger missiles a different olive drab color. Something a bit more brown, less green. But we'll at least get everything one color right now. And before you start saying, oh, it's not fictional, they're using it in Ukraine right now, the one used there is two-person, and it is quite a bit different from this. Whatever idea this was back in the 80s when they thought of this kit, is probably what it became, but this is not the same. And the one in Ukraine is a 2-missile system, not a 4-missile system. But it does have a very similar kind of pedestal mount and all that. I've got some pictures of it. I may use that as a guide anyway. Because the idea is the same, even if it's not the same thing. This stuff just get too thick, or is it me? I think it's just real thick. Getting some tip dry. I probably got to thin this out just a hair. That's better. That was better until it's not. How much you want to bet there's something that got caught that I didn't clean out? Like a strand of cured up paint in the needle. Happens more often than you think. And periodically check the hole in the nozzle too, because if that becomes obstructed at all, it can affect your paint flow too. Because the air is not flowing over the needle as it should be, so it's not pulling the paint as readily. Right now we're just giving everything a good solid coat of the forest green. Come on, clear out. There we go. Yeah. It's like when you're trying to clear the dirty gas out of your car and you finally get to the good gas. Like a bad episode of Speed Racer back in the 70s. Let me do this real quick though. Now that we're working on something a little darker. Whoa. Don't want it that bright. Okay. Yeah, now it's a little too thin, so we definitely had a clog up from one of the previous colors. We got it worked out though. So depending on which part of its lifespan I want to represent the Bushmaster in, I'll either be painting it this color or NATO green. Still don't know exactly which. That's fine. One must adult. I just don't know if I want to do a single color one. It'll be interesting, especially given the older uniforms and stuff that were around at the time. I could do something with that, but I don't know. No, I've already got the appropriate ones from Panzer Art. I couldn't find the DEF ones for a suitable enough price. And I gave it the spare tailgate plate from the Minicraft kit, or the Academy kit, from the ambulance, so that way it can have the AM General on the rear, which it would. just resting it there so I can hold it properly to get some other little bits and bobs. I found these for 20 bucks. Just no one's done publicly available 3D files for them yet, so can't print my own. At least not the earlier pattern, which I need for the Bushmaster. They do make them for newer vehicles, so like I said, for the 1151, if I wanted to put something a bit nicer, I guess you could say, I could print my own for it. I don't know how the kit ones are going to really turn out. I've been looking at them and they don't look bad, but they don't feel right. Oof, you paid 40 bucks for those things? It is weird seeing a Humvee in this color, but it was not impossible. It entered service in '85, so there's probably any number of prototypes that had this forest green on them. Which is the right color. Let me look. I only have like 2 shots of the Bushmaster when it was between camo schemes. Oh! Yeah, that's another reason I don't go for a lot of aftermarket like that. That just hurt to hear, dude. So the pictures I've got show it in the NATO 3 color, the 3-hole front bumper, but the camo looks like it was put on by spray cans. Like, it looks really shitty. Really dusty, too. The truck is just nasty looking. And then there's this color. Just overall that color with the 4-hole bumper in the front. And some dude with a 70s, 80s porn stash sitting in the front seat. And then there's earlier idea design images of one with a 996 type slanted back on it with some weird kind of pedestal, but it also has the earlier prototype hood, so I really couldn't use that anyway. And that's in the camo I'm going to paint this in. So it's from earlier in the development. And then there's another of a different prototype, it looks like, with, again, the NATO 3 color. But that's all I could really find. Not a whole hell of a lot out there on it, you're right. So I might just play it safe and go with the single color version. Plus, it would be different from all the others I've done that are all camouflage. Or sand, or camouflage with sand washing off, or, you know. Just a good prototype vehicle, one color, some light dusting. A little bit of muck in the tire treads. Oh yeah, it's your money to spend, don't get me wrong. Plus, like you said, you wanted to try them out, see how they work. see if they're really worth all the hype that people say they are. Now, my thing is on those is and again, I'm going to use the Revell F-15E as an example. The cockpit it comes with is not inherently wrong. You know, it's well detailed for what it is. It's just very empty. Whereas if you want to dress it up, honestly, just get the Ares set and throw it in it. It has just the right feel of chunkiness and clunkiness and, you know, filled in area. Oh, let's get some more music up. And when I do a cockpit, that's what I'm really looking at. So even the pre-printed decals or the pre-printed photo etch won't do it for me if the rest of the detail isn't in there. You know, there's a lot that even those just don't fill up. So the next color for this apparently is zinc chromate of some sort. I've done a test and I found something that looks close that I've got in my collection. I'm not going to be buying it, and I've even seen in the field it varied. So sometimes it was brighter and more green, sometimes it was less. One was made by Verlinden back in the early 2000s. It has not been re-released since. The kit cockpit isn't terrible. If you wanted to go for super detailing, the main area that's really lacking is behind the front seat. There's a whole bunch of tubing and piping that goes there. But what's in there isn't wrong. But just so you know, actually, where did I put her? Okay, she's back over there. If you give me a second, yeah, for the trumpeter one, I can go get the fuselage for the trumpeter one out and show you just how big it is compared to the Viper. Or you could do it yourself. You have both kits. You're gonna need more space than you think. Yeah, so there was a cockpit kit for the Hind sold, but not anymore. And since any of this camo scheme on this vehicle wasn't official, due to when it came out of that transitionary period where they were going from this to the NATO 3 color, I'm just going to play it fast and loose and make something that works. Well, that's because ones like the Apache and the Viper, they are attack helicopters. That's all they are. They're not meant to be troop transports. They're not meant to be cargo haulers. They're meant to go out, find tank, shoot tank, come home. The Hind is meant to go out, find tank, shoot tank, drop troops off into field, shoot more tank, pick troops up, and go home. And I am using the dreaded Mission Models zinc chromate for this. I've been near a few real hinds in my time. They are disgustingly huge. I think another reason I'm picking this camo scheme, though, is you don't really ever see anybody paint it. They always do the green and brown version of it. And this was used. I found pictures of it on the Abrams at the time. I found pictures of it on Bradley's. So I figure, what the hell, why not? Yeah, this is meant to be the, what they call the summer version. Because the camo system was supposed to be modular. So, like, when the seasons change, you just went out and... Okay, say you got this one, it's got the green and the green. They'd go out with a spray gun or a bunch of brushes in a can, and they'd paint over the bright green with the flat earth. But it looks like the flat earth almost got standardized as like a standard camo anyway, because you saw that the most common, regardless of the time of year. Oh yeah. Especially Russian helicopters, they really beat the air into submission. And yes, I am going to carry the camo into the bed of the truck, as was most often the case. I'm just trying to establish on the outside first. What now? That's part of why the standardized camouflage system we use now works so well for these. Is you can take any base chassis and theoretically, if you want to make an ambulance one, all the parts match up and the pattern matches up. Or if you want to take, say you take an ambulance one, you want to make it into a 996 or a 1025. Again, the roof pattern and the door patterns should all match up. It's been Jeep time for a little while. Obviously that's not always the case because field repaints and stuff like that always throw a bit of diversion into it. But that's why you just get the spray paint back out and match the pattern up once you put it on. If it even matters. Your command may not give a shit. There are no doors on this one. Not even a roof. I'm just painting this because I know for sure some jackass would have been given a couple cans of spray paint and said, go make it match. So, I don't know. You guys want to see me build the Bushmaster one, or you think I should just slam build it until we get to the painting? Because I'm not really doing anything special to it. It's going to be straight out of the box. Whoopsie! Drop! Yeah, do you want to see me build it on here, though, or do you not care? Getting Humveed out. The only reason I'm doing this one, because it's actually different. You know, it's got the engine, it's got the photo etch set that I put on, all the little trinkets. Granted, all the stuff I'm adding costs more than the damn model did, but we already talked about that. But that's also more because I wanted something very specific with it. Oh, the camo's not done yet. But this is where this camo is interesting. I'm gonna hand paint the crow's feet. And then I have to really scour pictures of the engine bay and get all my details kind of figured out for that. My light sand, and where did it go? There we go, black gray. And a decent liner, doesn't have to be perfect. Good enough. Because again, whoever got detailed to paint these would have either been given cans or some gallons and some brushes. And depending on how they did it, the first few would turn out perfect. Then by the time they got to the end, it would just be like, yeah, whatever. And I think that's what the original... I think it's kind of what the original box art was trying to go for, but not really. It's like if you told AI what a Humvee looked like, and then it tried to make one. But just like the modern schemes, there was actually a dedicated scheme to this pattern that had to be followed. So again, modular components wouldn't have to be totally repainted every time they were swapped out. But yeah, you can look it up. Just type Google MERDC Summer Version or Summer Verdant, VERDANT. Ah. Ooh. Been waiting for a little while to do that one. Frankie, where's your puff? Where's your puff? I don't see your puff anywhere, boy. Go get it. That's why they are called crow's feet. That and the branches that come off, they look a lot like lightning bolts too, but the common term used for them is crow's feet. And that's where a lot of modelers who try these schemes kind of mess it up. Not that they're exactly not correct, because again, depending on who painted it and when, you know, it could be the 100th tank for the day and they just don't care. So they got that nozzle on the wide setting and they're just going to town with it. And you'll find all kinds of variations in it. There's no... From a modeling perspective, there's no hard and fast rule about it. You know, unless you have the actual Army paint manual in front of you, and you try and adhere strictly to that, then yeah, there's really nothing wrong with how anyone does it. Unless they're trying to portray a specific vehicle. And I'm kind of playing fast and loose with it here because I only know of 2 Humvees that ever wore this camo. One was desert, the other one was a prototype, so... Operationally, no, they didn't wear it. But that doesn't mean the chance is 0. But that one being loaded onto the hovercraft really looked operational to me, so there's that too. While I've got this out, I'm going to touch up what I know is black on the engine bay. That's the overflow tank, so I'm going to paint that a creamy off-white. That's the washer fluid bottle too, so same thing for that. And then I'm going to mix up to get light blue, and since this is a pre-Dex Cool, we'll make a light green and put it on this. Start plucking out the details in the engine bay. Oh, there was a standard to the scheme, so it's not like it was just, oh, slap any coat of paint on it. And there's plenty of guides out there for doing it. But, like I said, depending on how many times it was repainted, who repainted it, when... You got a lot of variation in them. Hey Frank, did you bring me a puff? Did you bring me a poof? No? You just want attention? Okay. Good boy. I'm probably just gonna make everything down in here black. It's easier to pluck the smaller details out than to try and paint around them. But this area and this area will be body color for the most part. And what should I start after the Viper and this are out of the way? Like I said, we've got the Hind we're working on slowly but surely. The LAVR would be interesting. I kind of want to get another LAV though. Maybe the mortar one, since it has most of the interior. And do the engine bay being open on it. Well, operationally, just during regular training, the tanks would get beat. They get beat up, you know. They'd be in the woods, getting stuck in the mud, getting their fenders bent, stuff like that. So they'd touch them up as needed. I don't know about now, but back then, though, I think they were pretty regularly repainted. Again, it varied from command to command. But especially after a major exercise, like say you're doing your yearly training, you know, driving through the woods, going to the gunnery range, all that fun stuff. But then you do the big training day, the big game, you know? You just went up against the Bundeswehr and kicked their ass kind of shit. You know, you had a big Op 4 exercise or red flag, whatever you want to call it. Reforger. After all that abuse, you'd probably have a little downtime to go back and paint everything up nice and neat. But all that did vary on command, because like the 7th Army, they had their own camo scheme. Everybody else followed this pattern, the modular one, and they had one. I think everybody calls it Master, M-A-S-S-T-E-R. But yeah, they had their own camo scheme. At the same time this was being used. That's good for the basics until I can start combing the pictures. Oh, forgot the seal. The rubber seal right along the hood here, by the air filter. There we go. Then I want a more drab, olive drab. Yeah, that made sense, I know. Is that the one or is it the other one? Got one I've kind of mixed up with another color. Yeah, that's the lighter one. Okay. Why am I getting like Big Trouble in Little China vibes from this music? I like it. Frankie, where'd you go? He's probably out looking for his toy that he forgot to bring back. And I want to check on something else. I have a whole folder of just Humvee pictures. Oh, those are in the 998 folder. I'm looking for the splash guards right here. I think they are the base color, which means I'd have to paint them by hand. Some could be green, some could be black. Others are sand, depends on when they were painted. Come on, I know I have just one picture of that. Do I need to go get more pictures? Jesus. There we go. Yeah, that one was black. They're going to be covered in dirt and dust anyway. I'm not going to get too dirty on this. Yeah, I don't know what's been going on with that. I didn't change the settings, so it should have. Maybe the link was too big. If you're working on the Grizzly next, do I have to drop everything I'm doing and start working on the LAVR? Ah, gotcha. That should dry to the right tone. It did on Thunderbolt. And I'm really just picking these out in different greens and drabs and browns, just to give it a little bit more life. They'll start to pop more once you get into plucking the details out of them too. Well, you could always go for a Maz 537. BMP3, BTR80. I'll probably clear coat this in the Cobra off stream. Because all it is spraying the sealer on and letting them dry. Nothing very exciting in that. Or complicated. Actually, let me see if this will work for you guys on the YouTube side. Give me 1 second. Oh, the little lady stopped talking too. Oh darn. Does that work for you on YouTube? Or does it go to a dead end? Because if that works, I might post that up in my profile too. And I'm also trying to brainstorm a channel logo or t-shirt idea kind of thing. Get something going on that too. Okay. Because that's the same link from the Twitch page. So if anyone wanted to use that. I'm still waiting on someone to make a new Strela 10 on the MTLB chassis besides the skiff kit. The skiff kit's not terrible, but it's woefully under-detailed. Now, on the seats, I can go with a lighter khaki color, or I could make them blue. They fade to blue sometimes. Let's go to khaki. Blue seats would look odd. I was thinking that, and maybe if you remember the old Tamiya instructions, and I think Academy did it for a while too, but they'd have like a little character building the model along with you in the instructions. Maybe something inspired by that, not totally copied from it though. The Bushmaster Humvee had them in the instructions. No, that could look like tits. I'll think of something eventually. I always say that and I never do. Mainly because life just keeps getting in the way. I keep having to work and work and work. Poor excuse, but nonetheless still valid. I was thinking something more... Oh, I don't have it down here, it's upstairs. I was plowing through the parts. Or like just a caricature of me with different models on the table, but in a similar style to that kind of cartoony, almost chibi style that Tamiya had in the instructions. I'm trying to get into at least one Lego set. Couple Christmases back, Aries sent me a RC Leopard tank made of Lego. I want to build it. I really love it as the, you know, the gift it was intended to be, but I can't get my head into it. It's not that there's anything wrong with what he sent, just I can't get my head into it. You know? I'm sure I'll think of something, I just don't know what yet. I'll fall getting out of the shower and it'll dawn upon me. Yeah, I'm not touching AI. I'm not going near it. I don't want it to go... I don't want to authorize it to go on any of my stuff, because once you do that, there's loopholes and back doors that are in all that shit. And suddenly that stuff's not yours anymore. So, I know it sounds paranoid, but yeah, I'm not putting AI anything on my stuff. Anyone else wants to, that's fine, that's up to you. I'm not. I'll have to have a Doc Brown moment in order to think of a logo. Yeah, I really just... I don't like how they're pushing AI. How's that? Look at this toy for everybody. Meanwhile, they're farming information by what you're putting into it. Call me paranoid. Seriously, call me paranoid. How do you train an AI? Ask yourself that. Once you've answered that, you'll have your answer. You give it information. Input. Need input. Who's that remind you of? So every time we do that, try and refine it to get it to look better, sound better, act better, we're teaching it, we're training it. And yes, I'm painting the fuel tank this color because it's actually about that color in real life. I could have painted it separately, not too worried about it. I'm trying to be a bit more thorough on this one, I guess. Because I've added so much. Well, like I got another friend who's out there, and there's a program for creating 3D files. He fed it 4 pictures of a Machine and Krieger creation, and it was able to extrapolate enough from those 4 pictures. It filled in missing details in areas that hadn't even been in the pictures. How did it know that? And the details were correct. So I need well, there's that aspect to it as well, but just overall, I don't want to willingly endorse any of that. It feels like we're being persuaded to use it by making it a toy. Always let them see you sweat. That's how they know it's real. I have to figure out if this is washer fluid or Hydro Boost brake fluid. Because the picture shows a greenish-brown fluid in it. So I could be wrong, and it could be the Hydro Boost. But there's also a little pump right there of some sort. I'll figure it out eventually. But I know that's coolant overflow, and it gets really shitty looking. I think that's enough for today, though. Got quite a bit done. Got both models painted. I wouldn't doubt that. But we got the Viper and the Humvee painted. Like I said, I'll just clear coat off stream and do some decals. I'll research more on the details of the engine bay here. And we'll go from there. You guys want to see me continue on these things tomorrow or work on something else? Let me know. We can change things up from there. Because I'll be off tomorrow too, and Thursday. Be neat just to have a... Oh, and I didn't notice I just popped that. Oh, darn. I'll fix it in a minute. I know, everybody says that, but I want to work on something that you guys want to see, too. But let's see how it looks now that it's got some paint with the hood in place. Go. Really? But that's going to be pretty nice looking. And you don't see models of these with the hood up very often. One, if you're driving and say you're in a hurry in combat and you forget to latch the hood down, do you want to worry about it flying up in front of your windshield, or do you want the wind to keep it down flat? Two, it's generally overall easier to access most of the stuff you're going to be working on right through here. And it gives it more space for yanking the motor out. Plus, you can just take that off and have all this room to work on. Yeah, I think we'll be on tomorrow and just, I don't know, we'll wing it. I might wake up in the morning and feel like working on who knows what. But yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out. Yep, better access to the firewall. So if you want to do one like this, you're going to need one of the Italeri kits, the CMK resin engine bay set, and a Verlinden update set with the wheels. But yeah, I'll be on tomorrow. Hopefully not earlier, or hopefully not later. Hopefully earlier. I'm playing it by ear. I don't set my alarm clock on the weekends right now, just so I can get as much sleep as possible. I'm tired. But y'all take it easy. Have a good evening, and see y'all later. Have a good day.